This is a short video on small business relief in corporate tax UAE. Small business relief is provided to small businesses resident for corporate tax purposes in the UAE to ease their implementation of the corporate tax regime. Small business relief reduces the compliance obligations faced by small businesses in the early stages of the corporate tax regime, primarily by alleviating the burden of having to calculate and pay corporate tax. So let's look in detail. So, who are eligible for small business relief? Any taxable person with revenue below or equal to 83 million in a relevant tax period and all previous tax periods that end on or before 31st of December 2026 can elect for small business relief. Where a taxable person's revenue exceeds AED 3 million in a tax period, the taxable person will no longer be able to elect for small business relief, even if its revenue is equal to or falls below the AED 3 million threshold in subsequent tax periods. Revenue is defined in the corporate tax law as the gross amount of income derived during a tax period. This includes, for example, income from all of the sales a business makes, as well as any other gross income it receives, such as income from the sale of an asset, etc. Let's look some examples. Those that have elected for the small business relief will benefit from both administration and tax relief. In administration relief, business will not be required to calculate their taxable income and will benefit from simplified tax return filing and record-keeping requirements. This includes the ability to prepare their financial statements using the cash basis of accounting. And also business will be exempted from transfer pricing rule. In tax relief, business are not required to pay any corporate tax on income earned in the tax period. So everyone whose revenue is less than 3 million is eligible for small business relief. The answer is no. If the business is a constituent company member of a multinational enterprise group, or if business is a qualifying free zone person, they can't opt the small business relief. MNEs are groups of companies that operate in more than one country and that have a total consolidated group revenue of more than AED 3.15 billion and are required to prepare a country-by-country report under the UAE's country-by-country reporting legislation. Even if a UAE constituent company of an MNE has revenue equal to or below AED 3 million for the relevant tax period and all previous tax periods, the UAE constituent company will still not be able to elect for small business relief. Qualifying free zone persons already benefit from a 0% corporate tax rate on their qualifying income. They are also excluded from small business relief. Free zone persons that are not qualifying free zone persons are eligible for small business relief. Artificial separation. Small business relief will also not be available where a person artificially separates their business into more than one entity in order to ensure that the revenue of each entity is below the threshold for small business relief. Where the FTA establishes that artificial separation has taken place, the person will have to repay any unpaid corporate tax and any penalties that may be charged. If an eligible resident person elects for small business relief for a tax period, it will not be able to apply the provisions of the corporate tax law relating to tax losses in that tax period. This means that they cannot accrue, utilize, or transfer any tax losses. If the resident person has unutilized tax losses brought forward from prior tax periods at the beginning of a tax period in which it elects for small business relief, such tax losses will continue to be carried forward and can be used in the next tax period in which the resident person has taxable income and has not elected for small business relief. And for interest also, it applies the same. By contrast, small business relief treats eligible taxable persons as having no taxable income for the relevant tax period. This means that they will not have to calculate their taxable income, and that they do not need to identify the relevant expenses that they would otherwise be required to in order to deduct or apply any other reliefs. Businesses that elect for small business relief need to prepare financial statements either by following IFRS for small and medium enterprises, or cash basis, and needs to get audited. Once the tax return for the relevant tax period has been submitted with no election to benefit from the small business relief, there would be no possibility to claim this benefit at a later stage. Below are some more examples of small business relief. So let's conclude by some questions.